There are certain images that bring you right back to a time and a place. And for the generation that grew up with the Kenner Star Wars toys, seeing the pictures on the packaging brings us right back into our childhood.
The man responsible for many classic Kenner images is photographer or toyographer Kim Simmons. He is about to launch a campaign for his new book that showcases his work from the Empire Strikes Back line of toys.
Now here he is, the man who shot Luke Skywalker, Kim Simmons. Hey, Kim!
Hello. What an intro.
We love our intros over here. Now, we are beyond excited to have you on the show, and like I was telling you in our Facebook and email messages, you shot part of my childhood. Now,
Yes.
how often do you hear that? I'm sure every
All the
day.
time.
All the time, guys.
My only thing is, as I was trying to tell you, is that I only wish Roy was around to hear that, because he would go, what? Let me out of here. You take it. You just run with it, Kim. Just do it.
And this is Roy Frankenfield?
Roy Frankenfield.
And,
Yes.
and he shot the original Star Wars toy line.
Yes. He shot it from 77 till I arrived on the scene in 81.
Wow, okay.
So he did all the ones behind you. He did those, which is fine. Like I was explaining, he'd be going. In fact, he did. He literally told me, "Why do you want those things, Kim? Why do you want all those films? Why do you want all that? They're worthless. They're not worth anything. Just throw it." In fact, there's a story behind where I found them too. So,
And when you say them, he sold you all the original images from that original line.
I had all the no, there were no files, but all the film that he had kept. There was some that he didn't. That he'd kept it, but unfortunately, he kept it in a trash can, 2 of them, in the basement, in this much water.
No!
Oh,
Oh my goodness!
That was like 4 inches of water.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
I was in the middle of shooting the micro collection, and I went down. I was just like, okay, Roy, I need light stands. I need camera. What you got? Anything laying around anywhere that I don't know? Oh yeah, here's the key to the basement. Go down and look. I've got a bunch of stuff down there. And here's this dank basement, and I flip the light on, full string, and I go, oh crap! Excuse the French. That's not good. Got to come up with a different language, because French are pretty decent people. I stepped into water, that much water. I definitely did. And I'm going, oh, and I started getting, oh, there's what I got. Okay. And then I go, what's this? And wow, these are all the old negatives I was trying to find.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. So I went up and I said, is it okay if I bring these upstairs? And he goes, why?
Oh.
I said, because that's history. We need to keep this. And he goes, not on my dime, you're not. I said, well, I'll take care of it. I'll be on my dime. Don't worry about them. I'll take care of it. Don't have to pay for anything like that. He says, I'll do it downtime or whatever you want me to do, as long as I get to save them.
And when was this?
80. Whenever I started shooting the micro collection, I can't remember exact dates. Don't try to pin me on dates. I'm lucky to remember last week.
Yeah, really. What was last week? I'm so glad you had the foresight to do this, because back then people didn't really save things. They didn't categorize or catalog things. They put them in a box and put it in their attic or their basement, and that was it. And over time, they're just destroyed. So thank you for saving this part of history and our childhood too.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It was kind of, I'm a negative transparency hoarder. I will, if it's something I shot, I kept it. If I tried to anyway. There's a few things that I've tried to, that I go, I know I shot that. I remember shooting it, but it's like Tom Nyhazel, because I used his kid as in one of the shots. He's a Kenner guy, was a Kenner guy. And it's kind of like, I know I shot it. Remember your kids. Where's the film? It was before I was doing digital. Where's the film? So I was racking my brain. I went through everything. And I saw when it's here, out here in the country now. Can't find them. The only thing I can think is I gave them to the all of them to the client.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It happened. Sometimes I did that, and they never gave me anything back.
In the time, you don't really think about that kind of thing. It's not until 2020 hindsight. It's like, oh, why didn't I save this?
Yes.
Yeah. So when and how did you get involved with Kenner toyography? Was Frank, was he moving on to other things and then you joined in? And yes, I
No,
think we coined the phrase toyography.
that's okay. But what happened is literally I just gotten out of grad school. I was looking for a job, and I went into the studio. I can't remember the exact name of the studio, but it's now called LPK. And I went in. I was talking to a guy named Jim Gable, who was looking at my book and everything that I had. I was going around everybody showing, and he says, you need to go talk to Frankie. Okay, who's Frankie? Well, Roy Frankenfield. He used to be the head of the department of photography at that design studio. And he told me, he says, he's about ready to lose a big account. And so we need to, you might be a perfect fit for him. I didn't know what he was talking about.
He was going to lose the Star Wars account?
It turns out that was the account.
Oh, why?
Roy had this bad habit of literally going, and I'm just going to use this. Is this good enough?
Okay.
And that's why I hate those words.
Oh yeah.
And that good enough was, and I remember it was the cantina set where where the plastic base, and Ben was falling over.
Oh.
And he said, "Is this good enough?" And Jim told me this. He said, when he showed that, he says, "Oh, the writing was on the wall."
Oh no.
And that was way before I got in there. So I mean, that summer apparently. I don't know when it was exactly. He didn't realize it at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow. And he apparently hadn't seen the film either.
Well, no, he'd seen the film. He gave the film to him, but
no, I mean he hadn't seen Star Wars to know why is Ben falling over.
Well, I don't know if Roy ever did see Star Wars.
Apparently not. Oh no.
I don't know, but I made a phone call. I mean, I said, well, sure, I'll go, and I think Jim called him, but then I had got his number, and I made the phone call to him, and I went to see him the next day, and I said, look, I'll sweep your floors, $75 a week. I don't care.
Huh.
I need a job.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So did you go in there and kind of refresh his brand almost, or what happened?
Actually, there was no more of this. Is this good enough?
Oh no, the death words.
It was right or it wasn't. I mean, that's the way I understand it. That's pretty much the way the guys that I know that I was reporting to and eventually knew the guys up at Kenner, just said pretty much that.
Okay.
It was done and done right. Generally the first time. I mean, if it was like, oh, damn, I wish, excuse me, if we just told you to do this or that or whatever. So, oh, okay, let's work this thing out.
But you're not going to break continuity within the story. And,
no.
Yeah,
no.
which is just surprising that he would do that, because some of those classic Kenner images are just so iconic. And was he responsible for any of those, or did those have to be airbrushed or retaken?
Oh, well, everything was at that time. Everything was airbrushed.
Oh.
Everything was airbrushed. At that time, I don't think there was, that I can remember, that I know of, there was much of anything that was ever not airbrushed. All those packages behind you were all airbrushed, guaranteed. In fact, that little boy in the Millennium Falcon,
Right?
he had a white shirt on.
Oh wow!
and now he's got a blue shirt on.
Now he's got a blue shirt on. And none of those red backgrounds were really existed.
Okay.
Oh wow! Speaking of those kids, when we had Jim Swearingen, who was a Kenner toy designer, on the show, we asked him who were those kids in those pictures, and he said, "I don't know. You'll have to have a Kenner toyographer on at some point and ask them." So now that you're here, who were those kids on the packages?
I don't know exactly who they were, but I do know that there might have been one or two people that from the Kenner execs. But most of the ones, I actually found a list of some of the names, and I've got a guy trying to find them out, who they were. I've got the names. He's trying to find them for me. And so again, I said, hey, I want to be able to use your images within the book and everything at some point in time, because I want to get that. I don't have that, so let's get that covered now, because instead of someone, it's a long story on that one, but get it done right.
Right, of course.
So, because somebody goes, hey, why did you do this? And don't need that problem.
Right.
But there were people from the design studio there were friends of friends from the Kenner that worked at Kenner in some place or another. They weren't executives. They were, based on some of what I've been told, they were just friends of people that they'd come in and they got paid. I know one of them that's not there, that's in The Empire Strikes Back. I had my nephew, but I paid him.
Oh, nice.
I did not. If we had to pay anybody, we generally went to modeling agencies.
Okay.
They set the prices. So if my nephew was there for 2 hours to shooting, he got paid what they were paid.
Right.
We are very detail oriented. We just love knowing those little details. Like,
yeah.
What are their names?
Well, it's only fair. It was only fair if the kids were paid. Why were you going to ask somebody to do something for free?
Oh yeah. You know what? I was just as envious of Mark Hamill growing up as I was of that kid on the Millennium Falcon toy package, because he was part of Star Wars, but in a different kind of way. He was young like me, so I thought, oh, that can be me too. And my mother had spent a couple of days calling to ad agencies.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Yeah, they had no idea what she was talking about. Like, I don't know. Go call George Lucas. We don't know. It never got anywhere, but she was adamant about getting me on one of those packages, and oh, that would have been awesome. I'm surprised those kids haven't ever stepped up and said, "Hey, that's me."
I've had one that I'm aware of.
Oh.
I've had one person step up, and he was something I did it for the Droids line.
Oh, okay.
He was a friend of a friend that they found out that he had done it, and I did a layout for him real quick, and with his pictures on it and everything.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Now, your specialty was shooting the dioramas and scenarios for the toy packages, not so much the single action figures. Oh, did you do the single action figures as well?
I did the single action figures. I did the dioramas. I did I did the whole thing. Yeah, it was. I can tell you this. One of the stories. There it goes. Roy walks in the door. I'd always get there really early at the studio. Roy'd come in somewhere about 9 o'clock, so I'd already be shooting the time he came in. But he walked into the studio, and I had the whole studio lined up. All these micros were all set up in like 7 different sets. I had 7 different tripods. This is why I was looking for the additional tripods and cameras. I was literally shooting, going, okay, done, and taking the lab, done, like that. And writing down the bellows length, because this was all 8x10, 4x5. So, and it was all, that's what it was. So I had everything on my f-stops, my length, bellows length, everything down for each shot down, so that if I had to repeat it, I could come back and repeat it and not have to move to the next one. But meanwhile, I had all these things. Roy walks in, says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm shooting all the micros. We need to get the stuff out." He goes, "How are you keeping track of it?" I said, "I've got notepads beside each one of them." He just shook his head, went back to his office. I didn't see him the rest of the day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Roy's lucky to have you.
I'm sure you were Employee of the Month.
I was lucky to be there. Trust me, I was lucky to be there. I enjoyed every bit of it. I really did.
How
I'm
old
sure.
were you? How old were you at this point?
Oh, let's see. Well, I would have been 81. I would have been 30 at that point.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I can just imagine. So you got to set up all these toys. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that. Like sounds amazing.
Oh, you have the dream job of all jobs.
Well, before that, they'd give me. This is one of the things that I sped up. They would give me the toy, or Roy would go. Initially, Roy would just go over and get whatever it was, the toy, and I would have it, and I'd set it up, and we'd shoot it. Well, he always shot it in 35 millimeter, black and white. So he would shoot it, and then we'd make prints, and he'd take them over, and they from there. Then that's the preliminaries. Then they would use those to create the okay, we're going to want this, doing this, and this, and this for the package. And then we'd come back with those prints, shoot that angle. But this time, all of a sudden, we're shooting with either a 4x5 or 8x10. Optics difference.
Right.
Oh.
Okay, so here I am trying to make this all happen. And they'd say, "Kim, why is this not matching up?" And I go, "Well, there's an optic difference between the 35 millimeter and the 4x5.
Oh.
And they'd go, They just so I go, wait a minute, I got a solution for that one. And so the next package that came in, I shot it 4x5 Polaroid P&N. So I had Polaroid P is the positive negative. So when all said and done, they could say, oh, we want this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay. I'd make a print for them if they needed it. Negatives just there in case it. If they take Polaroid, that was probably most of the time, I think that was good enough. They do their design from there, taking, because they what they called a Lucy, which would enlarge up and they could outline. That's all they needed. And at that point, they had something they go, hey, now give it to me. And once that was approved by Art Hefner up at Kenner, I would get it back. And then I'd put in whatever scene, whatever needed to be done. I had to create that, whatever was there, and all that was done.
So if I'm understanding, first they would shoot the preliminary, which is kind of like a mock-up.
Right.
And then they would go to the executives and they would make some changes and then they'd give it
Yep.
back to you and then you'd reshoot the final.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That makes sense.
But instead of being like, instead of taking that toy and shooting it all these different directions, I'd got maybe 10 different shots that I'd have to do.
Right.
That matching what I had already done, and say,
Oh.
well, Kim, give me a little bit more, switch it this way, just move it back this way a little bit more, because there wasn't another picture like that. Oh, sure, okay. And that would be it.
So the initial setup, it was more of a committee thing, or was the executives more in charge of this is what we want to see, and then you make it come alive?
The designer would probably step in there and they would design the package based on, because they have the whole package at that point.
Right.
But they're based on the photographs that I would take.
Mm-hmm.
And they would do that.
Yeah.
And then once they had that, they would take it up. The ad executive, account exec, would take it up to the Art Hefner at Kenner. He would say yes or no. And if it had to go on to Lucas, if it did or didn't, it all depended on what was going on or how speedy it had to be. Or he'd say, well, let's make this change, that change, or whatever. Or no changes, and then it would come back to me and I'd make those changes. Now, if they wanted to see another one, we just do another one.
Right.
Whatever they wanted to see, it's no big deal.
Right.
And then, but I slimmed it down a little bit.
So what was like the turnaround time for the creation of one of these packages?
Oh God. Well, let's put I cut a couple of days, at least a day and a half off of that, just because of the way Roy had been doing it to what we were doing. Because I literally would get it in the morning and give it to him that afternoon.
Nice.
So they'd have something to run with.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden they've got it, then whatever time they took, then I might see it a couple of days later or whatever.
Wow.
That's how it worked.
So much more history and background to this than I realized, because you look at these packages, these photographs in the package, and they look so simple. I think that's what really appealed to me as a kid. They looked so simple with a fun background, a fun, clean background. The toys are so nicely spread out, and that just really just hit me to that when I saw that. It was the toy, yes, but it was the packaging and the design that really drew me in as a 9-10-year-old.
That was Ray Persick.
Okay.
Ray Persick he was the account executive, but also the graphic designer that pushed all of this. He's the one that laid it out. This is the direction we needed to go, and he's the one that did it. That pushed initially. Then it was Jeff Rice, who became the production guy. Is also he basically laid everything out after that.
Oh, wow.
And did everything.
Okay. So what is it like for you? Like you shoot these images and then like, I don't know, 6 months later or something, you see this package on the shelf with your images.
I would see it for six months to a year.
Okay. But
and then it wasn't always, I wasn't going to toy stores. I didn't have much time to do that stuff.
Or even on the news, there's so many news pieces you see on YouTube of these stories that someone found from like the 1980s where a kid is just cradling an AT-AT or a snow speeder. And have you seen those? And how does that make you feel?
I've seen a few of them, and I'm going. It was something that they. Well, it was the movie they were looking at. I understand that. I mean, come on, it was the movie.
It was the movie. It was the movie. Plus, these toys could really further their adventures because we didn't have DVDs or streaming or any of that. So we had to have these toys and recreate the scenes. So it took on a whole new level.
Yeah, everything. I mean, they woke the toy industry with this line.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah. Do you recall what the very first shoot that you did that you worked on? What toy?
Yeah. Sure, it was a Darth Vader insert, Darth Vader carrying case insert.
Oh, right. Inside there was the cardboard cutout
The cardboard,
of
the
all the
cutout. Yep.
figures.
Oh,
Yep. I
nice.
literally walked in, and that day I walked in, and Roy said, "We're going to be doing this." I said, "Okay." Then I found myself up on the ladder, down the ladder. Rod Justin figures up on the ladder, and he came up and he looked at it and said, "Okay, we're pretty good. Go load up some film." I'm going, "Oh Lord, this is an 8x10. I've never loaded 8x10 before."
Oh,
Okay, but yes, and I went in there and go, "Okay, it's the same thing. It's just bigger." And I loaded up the film and brought it out, and we shot it, and
wow.
off it went.
That's
Wow.
so cool.
Yeah, and you shot for The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. You shot for the Ewoks series and the Droids figure
Yep.
series and Power of the Force
Oh,
and
wow.
Episode 1.
Wow.
That's a
And
big amount of Star Wars toy lines.
There was a Shadow
Shadows of
Power
the
Force 2.
Empire.
That's
Yeah,
right.
the Power of the Force 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the E1 until that was when they left. They left at the end of 2000.
When you say
Okay.
they, oh, Kenner?
Hasbro Kenner left Cincinnati at the end of 2000.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Now, what do you think of the newer toy packaging that's recreating the original Kenner toy packaging?
I have only seen a couple of them. I've only seen a couple of them. It's kind of like people have told me. They said, 'cause I've seen it one. I've seen the AT-AT and everything. And I'm going, wow, and leave it at that. And why? I don't like. I mean, come on, guys, get a little bit more creative than that. But that's
Oh,
what they do. I didn't do them. I didn't do those this new stuff. I wish I had. I mean, they're better than what they've got now
yeah.
out there. They brought some of that feel back to them.
Yeah.
There's something about shooting large format for like a lot of the photos that we did back then, and that's just me.
Well, one of the reasons
Oh,
why
yeah.
I stopped collecting was because the packages had so much to be desired. There was no artistry there anymore. There was no design concept. This is my point of view. I'm not saying as a blanket statement. And as all of our listeners, our Skywalkers know that I will not open a vintage toy because I don't want to ruin that packaging. That is art. And I just can't bring myself to open it, and I won't.
Well, I will tell you that from what I know, from the people that I know from the old days that followed them places up there, they weren't happy with they weren't at all happy with the packaging. They knew they were.
Yeah, and it was pretty much just left to graphics and text.
Now, what time period are you talking about at this point?
Well, at this point, you're looking at definitely E1. And as it started to change in Power of the Force 2, you'll notice that any dioramas or any of this real scenery
Okay.
left.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's not there. Because I remember one of the last diorama type things I did was the speeder bike,
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the Power of the Force 2 speeder bike,
right.
or Shadows, whatever number that is,
Okay.
because I've got the package.
And a lot of the toy packages then resorted to like clip art. It's like, that's not packaging. Come
Right.
on, come on, call Kim again.
I wish they would.
He'll bring you back to the basics.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Well, it was expensive. I will tell you that in Cincinnati, that's one of the things they did tell me, that the packaging in Cincinnati was very high. But then again, look at the packaging that they did after they left Cincinnati. It wasn't as much.
Okay.
Yeah, this is right after when Kenner was sold to Tonka and Hasbro bought
That-
Tonka.
Right. Right.
And at that point, the packaging was
It was Kenner. It was General Kenner, General Mills, Tonka, and then it was then from my understanding, it was almost Mattel. Mattel. They almost bought them
right.
because I was working on the Cindy doll
Okay.
at that time, and they were bringing her from England, I guess, and they were going to start producing her because we did about 7 or 8 packages for them.
Okay.
And all of a sudden it went bye-bye. And at that time I was told that no, it was Mattel was trying to buy them, and the way they could get away from it was they dropped the line. And that's when Hasbro came in.
Right. So basically the packaging progression, I mean, it's like anything, people are trying to cut corners, save money. So like back when you were creating your dioramas and stuff, I mean, that's a whole lot of money to the photographers because you're doing a lot more work. Whereas when they slim down the packaging, you know, you just like you were doing a character in sand or something so that they could replicate the packaging as much as possible.
Well, they would drop in a scene from the movie.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, they did that on the AT-AT.
I came in 1 week after that set was taken down. That's when I came in. I just missed that.
For the original AT-AT.
The original.
Okay.
Roy that was a rear projection that Roy did.
Yeah.
Wow.
You actually used when I say rear projection, I'm talking about a slide projector.
And it worked because it was out of focus. It didn't take the focus away from the actual AT-AT toy.
That's right.
Now, do you have a favorite of your work? A picture, a photo that really stands out from all of the lines?
My favorites is the Hoth battle scene. It's the POP that I did. I did that, I believe, in 82, sometime in 82. That's literally when I'm recreating that attack on Hoth base. This was actually a POP, a point of purchase display. Big display that I did.
It's a display, yeah.
It's a display.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. That is absolutely my down-out favorite one. I mean,
there's an AT-AT and a Rebel transport and all the ships around it.
I've got that. You got it.
Okay, because I'm thinking of toy packaging, but then you said the displays.
No, I love doing the AT-ATs. Sometimes I would say, let me step back and take a picture of this stuff, of the scene, of the whole thing. And
Absolutely.
I didn't do that nearly enough. Oh yeah, I was during that time period in the lower 80s, I still had to do my thesis.
Oh my gosh.
My job, I had to be photographing what I was photographing. So I literally, and this is the only reason I've got pictures of Roy doing it, is I'd go in, I'd say, Roy, can you come out here? And he'd say, well, sure. I said, well, I need you to I want you to work on this set so I take a picture. Well, don't you want me doing it? Let you do it and let me take the picture. I said, no, it's fine. I want you to do it. Duh.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all right. That's okay. It's the only way I've got pictures of Roy doing anything. That's which is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah. And that's him with a little micro machine TIE fighter setting up
TIE fighter, and I've got another with the snow speeder. Yeah, it's that's fine. I've got pictures of me working on the Hoth battle scene, so that works. And his daughter shot those for me. She came in while he was off skiing.
Did you have to build those sets? I'm sure they had someone come in and or send you the sets to take. Or did you? I guess you made them.
Really?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Where did those little sets come from?
I created the mountains. I created the whole look of the snow and for the Hoth battle scene. When it came to all these other little things, I had to do it.
Wow.
I'm sure now it's all unionized. So one person sets up the rocks, one person sets up the sand, one person sets up the lights, and
not here, not in Cincinnati yet.
Oh, all right, good. Good.
Now, in your free time, do you make your own dioramas up, or is it just for photography?
Well, I enjoy doing it, but it's got to have a goal to it.
Okay.
And because my studio, which is actually was based on the studio that we had downtown. It's a big museum is what it is.
Ooh.
Is what it's becoming.
Yeah, and I know you have
fun.
posted a couple of videos of your studio. Those are so if anyone hasn't seen those, where do they find your virtual tours?
I think that virtual tour is on the Facebook site, The Man Who Shot Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
Now, a number of years ago, you had released a book that showcased all the toyography from 1977 through 1979, and you were also selling these images.
Oh, I've been selling the images since the early 2000s, something like that, mid 2000.
Okay.
I was trying to work something up. I scanned we scanned. I had two guys helping me, and they didn't scan them very high. I did, but they didn't, and it's all right. I basically was selling all the transparencies. Just get them out of here. So I don't have anything that I shot originally.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I got rid of all the stuff that's worth a lot of money. That's all gone.
To collectors?
Well, there's a story behind that one too. I got stories for everything. I sent all my figures down to Tom Derby, all the ones that I used on the shots, in all the shots, from all the sets, everything. I mean, he had everything.
And who is Tom Derby?
Tom Derby is Toy Collectibles down in Atlanta.
Gotcha. Okay. Did Lucasfilm ever try to step in and say, "Hey, we need a little piece of this," or claim ownership?
Well, it'd be pretty much a piece of nothing. I don't make much money with that. I wish I was rolling in dough, but no, there's no nope. They've pretty much left me alone.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Which I've talked to Steve Sansweet, and he said, basically he's told me that, and pretty much everybody else has told me, he said prior to 2000 they don't care about anything. That's why they're letting so many other people. But at the same time, you've got certain values that you got to have. And I did work for Disney for a short period of time, and now that I did all this work for Kenner Hasbro, and there's a certain morality, there's a certain thing you've got to meet. And knowing, I've never met George Lucas, I wish I could, but there's a certain thing that just say hi.
Yeah.
And there's a certain level of expectation you've got to meet after working with these people. And I worked for some of the best companies on the planet as far as I'm concerned. I did work for, Kenner was fantastic to work for. They were a huge family. They really were a huge family, people.
Yeah.
That's so good
And
to
then
hear.
get to work for Kenner, Hasbro. Okay, that was great. It was a nice. They were huge too. But then I've worked for Kroger company. We did ice cream for over 18 years. Toys, ice cream, food, beautiful women. Tell me something. When did I work?
I hear you.
That should be the title of your next book.
I was gonna say, what's your favorite thing to shoot? Is it the toys? Is it the beautiful women? Is it ice cream?
All the above.
All the above. I was working. I loved working, and that's probably the problem. That I just love working. I never paid much attention to the money part. I figured if I could always work, the money would be there.
I think George Lucas would really enjoy meeting you because he loved the toys. He loved seeing the creativity that comes from the kids playing with these toys, and I'm sure he'd love to meet you.
He is probably after I've looked at some of the videos of him and listen to what he's done and everything. It's like he's got to be one of the most creative people on the planet.
Oh, by far. Yeah.
And I could see where he was going with every one of these things and all the decisions he had to make, and I understand why he went back and to the extended cuts and everything. It's like, hey, he had the money to do it right.
Yeah.
Oh
The
yeah.
way he originally envisioned it.
Right.
And hey, you know what? I like the movies.
I do. I love the special editions. And if anyone wants to watch the theatricals, they're still out there. They're not taking the place of them.
That's true.
They're still out there for your enjoyment.
That's right.
So now coming up on June the 18th, you're going to kick off your next Kickstarter campaign to fund your next book that's going to showcase the Empire Strikes Back toys from 1980 until 1982. So can you tell us all about this?
Well, it's not going to be a $50 book. How I wish, but you can't. It's we've got right now to get it totally funded. It's $80,000.
Okay.
Is the goal. Now this is where the part that nobody ever thinks about, because it's like 80 grand. Kickstarter gets a fee. The person who's running the Kickstarter gets a fee. The printing the book obviously gets a fee, and this time it is going to be hardbound, and it is going to, brother. I'll come back to that one. There's going to be special boxes. So in the shipping, there won't be any more damaging going through the mail. Actually, it wasn't so much the United States mail; it was more like overseas. But there won't be that problem again. But like I said, it is hardbound. Everybody gets a piece of that pie, and that is not cheap. The book is printed right here in Cincinnati, so the quality is the same by the same people that did the first book. So on the book, so they understand this, is that there actually is going to be two books. You're going to have the book. One book is going to be roughly, I'm going to say, no less than 170 pages. It'll have a little bit of micro, to say, oh yeah, the micro line was here. The other book, the deluxe book, is going to be no less than 240 pages.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've told Pat, because she's out there laying it out right now, still laying it out. We're going on the assumption that it's going to hit it. So there's going to be those two different books. So one's going to be cheaper, obviously, and one's going to be more expensive. One's going to have virtually everything that looks even remotely good. It's got to be good. I won't go in the book. And the other one just won't have as much micro stuff. That's basically the difference. The smaller book will only become in softbound though, but it will be laminated. So the problems that we were having with the first one won't be there. Nobody told me about lamination, that they could laminate the book.
Wow.
But they're also going to be, both of them are going to be in special boxes that they're going to make for each box, for each book.
Oh, nice.
So and then they're actually handling the fulfillment at that stage and getting them out the door.
Okay. So this is like a deluxe, like coffee table book that is it mostly the images that you have, or is there copy there, like a story?
There's going to be very minimal copy with this book. So
Okay.
the images are going to be big, and yes, and a lot of them. They'll be mostly my stories than anything that I can remember that I haven't told you here. And plus I'll try to write them down. There's not going to be a lot of copy. We're going to try to caption what they are, what they're from, but that there won't be the stories that there were before.
And will there be any rare images that we've never seen before?
Well, rare, I won't say rare. There probably are some images. What we're going to do is we're going to have images there that, like the way, like for example, like the way Roy shot some of those mini rigs, the way they were shot, and then what you saw.
Before and after.
Oh,
Before and
nice. Ooh, that's fun.
So we have some of those.
This covers all the toys from the Kenner lines and the toy displays as well. I love those displays.
Whatever I've got. Now, I did not shoot the displays, all the displays. I did not do those. That would have been, and you're going to love this one, Jack Wiemeyer here in Cincinnati. We called him Big Jack, and his son, Jackie. And I did not realize up until a few years ago that they were actually the ones that were shooting the displays. Never occurred to me.
Oh.
Never asked that question. If I had known what that about 25 years ago or so, I'd have had every one of those negatives in film, because they all went in the dumpster.
Oh, a piece of my soul just left.
Yeah, I know. I had that same feeling. Because Jack would have given them to me. They all, because I'd do it if I'd have known, just as a historic, just to keep them.
Yeah.
All his leftovers. I mean, I would have had all his calls, everything, and even because I went looking, I said, "Did he by chance?" Oh no, we threw all that stuff out when we left the studio downtown, and when Dad went out to the farm, he took some stuff with him, but then when he died, we took all that stuff and threw it all in the trash. So someplace they're in Rumpke Field in Cincinnati, and then the other is in the Rumpke Field, probably in Brown County.
You know what? All we need is an address. That's all we need.
Russ, you wouldn't want to go there.
Oh boy. All right, so let's name off some of the other perks that we get with putting in some money for your Kickstarter.
Well, it looks like there's a producer perk where you get your name in the front of the book as well as some specialty items.
Yes. Yeah, name in the front of the book as the producer. That's the biggie.
Yeah,
nice...
Justin Berger, who's helping you with your campaign here, he also wrote a really great book on The Empire Strikes Back. I'd reached out to him and said, "Hey, can you help us out with some of these perks?" So he sent a big list. So a couple of these signed prints, 8x10
Yes.
signed prints. There's a large size print of a special Dagobah scene that you shot specifically for the campaign.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing that they had a little bit to do with getting this book produced, I think is the best perk of all, because there's so much history there that needs to be preserved. There's embroidered patches to be given out.
Yes.
And so let's just say this, that there's so much here that on June the 18th, people can go to your Kickstarter campaign on Kickstarter.com and read up on this because there's just so much. And the name of the book is The Man Who Shot Luke Skywalker, Volume 2, 1980 through 1982.
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
that's correct.
Awesome.
Okay.
Stop and visualize that one.
Yeah. So once again, there are a ton of perks. Anyone can jump in at so many different dollar levels.
Yes.
And there are so many different gifts. Go to Kickstarter.com or the Facebook page, The Man Who Shot Luke Skywalker, and even we'll post on our Facebook groups and pages.
Yeah, we'll
the
post a
links.
link when your Kickstarter goes live.
From when I was last on my big computer, my desktop, there had already been just the announcement was shared almost 40 times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
So I'm hoping that, and I've already heard from people in Spain. So I'm pretty sure it's hit Europe.
Oh yeah.
And basically everywhere.
Oh, like I said earlier, when you see these images, parts of your childhood just come right back to you.
And that's what I want to bring back. I mean, I want everybody to see the images. They don't have to go to my website and just see the little pictures,
Right.
with a copyright symbol on them.
Right.
You're going to see these big images.
Right. And when does the Kickstarter campaign end?
End of July.
July
Okay.
30th.
July 30th. Okay, there you go. I mean, he had it. We were going for 30 days, and I think he put it out another to the maximum. I think.
Right. Like
Okay.
45 days.
Now, if anyone wants to reach out to you and ask you any other Kenner questions or questions on your toyography or anything, where can they get a hold of you on social media?
Oh, the easiest thing to do is to email me.
Gotta love the email. I can't go wrong there.
You email me because I don't do Twitter. I'll leave that to the experts.
Not TikTok?
No. I'm strictly, I guess I'm old school because I want email. Imagine old school being email.
I know.
And what is that email address?
It's manwhoshotskywalker@me.com.
Before we wrap up, is there anything you want to tell your fans, the future customers about your book? Something to hook them before we leave?
I think they're gonna really enjoy the book. They're gonna love it. I know it's more money, and that's what bothers me because I just wanted to keep the price reasonable for everybody, but I couldn't do it. This is what it costs, so I'm hoping that everybody will, at least just look at it and say, "Oh, let me buy the book." And I've actually when I was told this is what it's going to have to be, at least for the cheaper one, I reached out to a few of my friends who are serious collectors, and they say, "Kim, look at the price of your 8x10s are $20 plus shipping. People buy 4 or 5 of those. That's almost the price of the book. And how many pictures you're getting in this?"
Mm-hmm.
He says if they stop and look at the pictures, if they're buying the pictures, which they still could do, here's a book that's got all these in them.
Right.
And is there a date you're looking to ship the books out? If the campaign ends on July 30th, when will these be shipped out?
If everything goes according to my plan, which is one of the reasons I got in trouble for the last book, I like hard dates.
Mm.
They should be able to have it for Christmas.
Oh,
That'd
nice.
be nice.
Oh, good. Oh,
Yeah. If everything
So-
goes to plan. But yeah, that's great.
Well, we've talked to the printer, and it's really it's Pat and I. Justin's going to help with any captions we might need. Some of the captions I may not. Just like, okay, what would that use for? Oh no, it's kind of we shot it. It's a package. I don't know.
let's all make a deal with the Force. This is the one thing in 2020 to go right.
Yes, please.
Well, that is great. Well, Kim, thank you so much for coming on, and I've been a huge fan of your work since the 1980s, and I just can't say enough that you shot part of my childhood, and so many fun memories come back when I see the work that you produced way back then.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Skywalking through Neverland.